Messed up the first intro. Deer hunting 2022. So this year I'm hunting with a new rifle, and it's not necessarily the ideal deer hunting rifle. I have a Springfield M1A, the loaded model, and there's a cool backstory behind it. So ever since I was 12, I've always wanted one. There for a period of time, I carried one at work. A lot of crazy stories with it, but nevertheless. So several years ago, I ended up cutting my hand and had to get surgery. And one of my coworkers sent me a text, and it just said, "Dumbass." Some of y'all already know where the story's going. But he became a really good friend of mine. The longer I was around him, the more I liked him. And he was one of our school resource officers. And even though he was kind of like the kindergarten cop, he was fearless. And if something popped off, he somehow just magically appeared there, and he was just as fearless as he could be. But that being said, he also had a really deep and genuine care for the people that was in his life. And he's one of the few people that just cared about me even though he didn't have to. But he was also a master of the M14. He was on the state police rifle team, and I never really got to see him shoot. I just heard that he was a good shot. And then last year, whenever we were doing our annual qualification, the rifle portion of it was just zeroing your rifles, making sure you could hit what you were shooting at. And he was getting kind of OCD about zeroing his rifle. And I'm like, man, you're like a quarter inch away from where you were aiming. Like, that's pretty good. He was like, I'm going to move it a little bit. So he moved it and then put a couple shots on a steel target and then cut the chain on it. He was like, I think I got it pretty good. But nevertheless, I always wanted an M14 that was my own. And now was the time. I always wanted a green one, and I looked on Gunbroker just one day. I saw a green one for sale, credit card information. But I didn't even read the description. I just bought it. And with that, let's hunt some deer. It is sleeting really hard. It's supposed to change over to snow here in about an hour. Well, this is going to be a magical morning.
I'm not superstitious, but I did get my lucky hat, and I moved my Barney Fife bullet over to another pocket.
And it was about this time I had a pretty scary thought. So normally by this time of firearm season, I've got something hanging in the barn. And I remember anytime there was a deer that had been hit with a car, Jerry would jump on the radio within like 2 seconds and he'd be like, "Hey, you better hurry up because that's the only deer you're going to get to shoot this year." And I was feeling the curse.
Jeez. Oh my goodness, old Nick Estridge is here, has been here somewhere. Looky here. I'm sure he's around here somewhere.
So this particular time lapse is really more for 2023 Nick than it is you. So I've been deer hunting since 1997 and I've always been fairly successful. And early on, I attribute that to just being in the right place at the right time. If you're always in the woods, you're always going to run into a deer. And the last several years, it's simply because, well, right place, right time. You can go back and watch my old deer hunt videos. It's always me just sitting in the stand. So, for whatever reason, I decided that I needed to make my own luck. And I started doing some research on still hunting. And I thought my fieldcraft skills were pretty good. But the more research I did, I realized that they were actually really bad. So I decided on this particular hunt, I was really going to apply myself. So to give you some perspective on how slow I'm actually moving, this is a 2 minute and 11-second long time lapse clip, and the GoPro was set to 5 minutes of recording equals 30 seconds. So you're looking at over 20 minutes, the total time this time lapse took to make. And little did I know, I saw something, gosh, way a ways away, and it looked like an ear flick or a tail flick. I didn't know. But I watched it for a while, didn't see anything else, so I just kind of sort of gave up on it a little bit. But wouldn't you know it, it was not one, but two deer, and they're actually moving off to the left, which is where I want to go.
There we go. I can't believe I missed that shot. Dude, that was the first time I ever tried still hunting that way. I'm 300 yards from the house, and it's taken me about an hour to make it this far. So, super blessed, super humble. It's always sad whenever you shoot a deer. Um, but at the same time, we're gonna eat on her. And it's not the big deer that I was hoping for, but I'm just tickled to have a deer that I was able to shoot on my own property that I'm gonna get to eat on all year long. Like, how cool is that? Like, that's the only reason to do it. Other than sometimes it's kind of fun too. Um, this has probably been the most satisfying hunt I have had, maybe since the first deer I killed with a bow. Um, and I've been lucky for so many years, and I've never had to be good. Um, and I think old Jerry made me be patient so I could be good, uh, or be better. um, but no joke, I'm gonna be doing this kind of hunting for the rest of my days.
Nothing happens after this, but the footage is too good to just let it go to waste.
Doggone
And this is probably the coolest thing I've ever done deer hunting. Snuck within about 50 yards of this doe, and she wouldn't leave. So what I ended up doing is I got down on all fours so I didn't silhouette on the ridge line, and I mimicked a feeding turkey. I got past her. She never blew. She never ran off, and honestly, I never heard her walk off.
How did you get that close to me? Sniper! Approach the instructor!
And once again, creeping for the win. Got 4 deer down in the holler below me. Don't know I'm there, and I got to watch them for about 10 or 15 minutes. There's a little button buck just sort of running in circles the whole time. But it's been a super fun year, and I will leave you with this.
Yep, safety. Fire.
All the way.
All the way, all the
There
way.
you go.